Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we get to talk about Holmes Murder Castle. And this is published by Blueprint Gaming Concepts. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you can see our videos as they come out.
So this game is all about Sherlock Holmes. And there's a murder in a castle. He's going to investigate it along with his trusty friend Watson.
Nope, not true. Not a single bit. That's no.
All right. Okay, well, in actuality, the theme behind this game is even more interesting than that. Okay, so there was this real dude, Holmes. He is known as America's first serial killer. At the time of the First World's Fair in Chicago, he had this castle that he bought / renovated. He had all these different insurance fraud claims going, and it's just a whole big scandal that he had going on here. But what he was doing is he had a legitimate businesses on the first floor of this castle, and the top 2 floors were these hotel rooms, basically. And they were all super weird, disorienting, kind of maze-like rooms designed to to get people off their kilter. And ultimately, what he would do with a lot of his people, he would kill them. Ultimately, he was
I don't know why I laughed. That's not funny.
A murderer. He would take them to the basement and dismember them and sell their bodies for money and do insurance claims on them and all kinds of crazy stuff. So this is a really, really dark theme, but it makes for a really interesting game concept also. So, basically what you're doing in this game is we are the investigators. We are going out. We are trying to find out what's going on in this murder castle, trying to gather all the different all the different evidence on him based off of the murders, the insurance frauds, trying to find bodies and all kinds of stuff. So, so we were walking around these rooms trying to find this evidence. Let me show you what it looks like on the table. All right, here's our setup for Holmes Murder Castle. There's kind of a lot going on. Really, there's not, but it just looks like because there's so many different components. So let me kind of start peeling some of those away. So the first thing is, when you set up, this is all the evidence that we're trying to achieve on our boards. Every player is going to have a different card that kind of randomizes how much of what color of evidence you need to accumulate. So this one says 2 of the blue, 4 of the yellow, 3 green, etc. This is our setup that we have randomly chosen here. It basically means we're not going to have to go for very many of the greens, but we're going to have to try a little bit harder on maybe of the blue, yellow, and orange. We are going to be exploring this castle, and when we do, we're going to place new tiles from this deck. They're going to have a certain number on them, and that number is going to indicate how many different cubes are going to be placed on that tile. That is going to be coming from this Ferris wheel right here. So whatever the open side is here, the loading side, that is what we're going to take from. Whoever's placing is to choose which cubes from that spot gets to go in there. Once it's emptied out, it's going to rotate, and now those are the new ones that are available there. So that's kind of how that works as far as dropping the cubes. There are ways to mess with that, but for now, we're just going to get that out of the way. This is a really cool mechanism as far as how to place all the different cubes on the board. So on our turns, we have these different action tiles over here. Each one does something different. You get to choose which one you do. However, every other player at the table is going to be able to do kind of a lesser version of that same action. Similar to a game like maybe Race for the Galaxy, something like that. What's going to happen is you're going to select one of these. It's going to go on your board. It's probably a bad one right now, but just it's going to go there on the board, and then everyone's going to be able to do that action. The turn order is very important as far as, who goes first, and then, what order the actions are going to be resolved in. So this is a really cool kind of a metal key first player marker there. Every character also has a one-time ability up here. It's a really strong ability, but once you use it, it's a one-time thing. You flip that over to show it's been used, and then it's gone for the rest of the game. So you really want to make sure you use those wisely to make the most impact out of them. So let's get that out of the way so we can focus on the board here. All right, so what we've got going on is we have a basement, 3 rooms of that basement, and then we've got our Holmes mini on there. We've also got the pharmacy. The pharmacy is where we're going to start out as our characters. So what's going to happen is whenever someone takes the Explore the Castle action, we're going to draw from this tile here, and we're going to place them in a way that connects doors. You can orient the tile however you want as long as the doors are connected. And then you add cubes from that Ferris wheel to fill up that safe with whatever that number is. And then now it's ready to go. On a future turn, we might maybe take the move action. That allows us to move there. Everyone else would also get to move as well. And then, they wouldn't move there, but whatever. Everyone gets a chance to move as well when someone takes that move action. And then on another future turn, maybe you do the collect evidence action. I had that one over there on the player board. But yeah, so that one allows you to actually pick up the cubes and put them on your recessed evidence board as you're trying to collect all this evidence. There's also an action where you get to draw event cards. These event cards are really strong. They do a lot of different things. Basically, what's going to happen is you're going to look at them, you're going to read it, and you're going to put it upside down on your board, so only you know what it says. There are cards that are played immediately. There's also cards that you kind of keep for whenever they're the most opportunistic time to use them. You can hold up to 3 at a time, and they can be really, really powerful and get you out of a bind. This action is also kind of a move action. You get to move only one spot as opposed to the normal 2 plus 1. This one says here move into one room, but you also, as the person who selects this card, they get to advance the Ferris wheel by 1 position. So that way you can kind of choose which cubes are going to be coming up sooner, so that way you can really target the ones you need. There's one here that says, you can actually get to move Holmes himself. If he ever is where someone else is, he's going to add these strike cubes, which actually can make you lose some of your evidence that you've accumulated over the course of the game. So you really want to avoid those strikes if you can. This is kind of an aggressive tile that kind of pushes that a little bit. However, whether or not someone chooses that tile or not, at the end of every round, once every player has taken all their different actions, Holmes is going to move no matter what. So we're going to flip over a card, and it says Holmes is on the move. You have to move him to whatever it says here. Whoever the person's, the first player is that turn, they're going to choose where he goes. So here, basically, it's the number 2 basement room or the number 12 room of the 3 corpses. In this, obviously, scenario, we've only got a few out there. The number 2 basement is what we're going to choose because it's the only one's out there. There's some additional cards in that deck as well. This one says Holmes goes on a rampage. When that happens, you draw 3 cards and you do whatever they say. So he gets to move again. He moves again. This one says lights out. The castle goes dark. Reshuffle all the cards in the Holmes movement deck. This cancels that rampage thing, which is really nice. It's kind of a reprieve from all the pain that's been happening to you. So yes, at the end of every turn, no matter what, you draw one of those Holmes movement cards, and he moves around and attacks us. So that's really all there is to the game. We're going to be drawing tiles. We're going to be placing them wherever we're at. We're going to be putting cubes down based on that. Moving there. Picking up that evidence, trying to fill up our board. Whoever can fill up their board the first and make their way back to the pharmacy, that number 26 tile there, is going to be the winner. Do your best to avoid H.H. Holmes because he can really mess with your board, and also do not underestimate the use of these cards. It may seem like you're not doing anything as far as collecting evidence or progressing the game in that way, but they can really, really help out. So those cards are awesome.
All right, the first thing that stuck out to me about this was honestly the ease of gameplay. I was a little I don't know. I didn't know what to expect with it, and I was a little worried, but it was actually pretty easy to play, and I don't think we asked any questions. It all just made sense, and when things were happening and as they were going on, it was really smooth to get it out there and to play it. So the ease of gameplay for this was great.
Honestly, I was a little bit intimidated about the size of the box and how heavy it was. There were so much components in there. I was like, this is going to take a minute. But really, it's just because of the quality and the quantity of the components.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the quality or quantity of the rules.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's really nice there. I really like the action selection mechanisms in this game.
Yeah.
It's reminding me a lot of something like Race for the Galaxy, right? Where one person gets the action and then everybody else gets a smaller version of that action.
Yeah.
I love the way that plays out in this game. It makes the turns just go by so fast. Everyone kind of knows what's coming. And then after that, Holmes does his thing, moves around, trying to make you drop your evidence. But I thought that was nice.
Yeah, and with a higher player count, you can kind of plan out everything because you'll be able to do so many more things in every turn. So that's really fun. I really like the event cards, but the first time we played this game, we totally ignored the event cards. That was to our shame, because the next time...
For shame!
For shame! Because next time we were like, we should probably see what these are all about, and they're awesome! I can't believe we didn't use them before. If there's a whole card dedicated to doing that action...
Yeah.
They're obviously good, right? In a well-balanced game. And it was. And there's a lot more interaction going on with those cards. There's all these special things that you can do with the cards. You can manipulate the cubes and how they came out. Don't dismiss the event cards when you play this game.
Tying things together with the history of this game, there was a lot of rooms that were the tiles. I think almost all of them really were actual rooms that were in this murder castle, and some of the more nefarious ones actually had special actions that went along with them too. So as you're exploring this room, some rooms are going to be harder to find evidence in, or maybe that's where he's more likely to find you in some of these rooms, or whatever the case is. So there's just extra tiles that kind of just the more, I guess, more signature of the rooms from the actual Murder Castle made a play in this game and made a big splash when they show up, because they're usually a little. They're more rules, more interesting stuff.
Fire.
Right.
Yeah,
and there's
fire.
usually all the text is right there on the tile, so you don't have to look anything up. It's all right there.
Yeah, and that was another thing when they drew the cards when Holmes was playing. The first time I was reading all the cards, and then I realized there's a number in all the circles. So you can just look for the number on the board to see if it's there. So it was really nice. And some of them had the fires, because it was a fire room. I really enjoyed how the board was supplied with its pieces, with its evidence. The Ferris wheel, which goes into the thematic idea of this being around the time of the Chicago World's Fair. And so you have this huge Ferris wheel that is spitting out the components that are going on the board, how that's supplying the board. And I just really liked that. I thought it was really neat. There's even event cards that manipulate that you can kind of work around with that. There's all these special cards that just mess with it in different ways. And I didn't see something exactly like that before. So I just thought it was really innovative to see that as a way of supplying the board.
Yeah, and just plus how everyone had different, levels of all the different
you start
evidence,
with different,
evidence they had to go for. I thought that was really clever too. It kind of gave everybody a different direction to go in right off the bat. I thought that the theme of this game, right, is pretty darn dark. There's murder, there's gore, there's bodies everywhere. But the
just everywhere, bodies everywhere.
But the gameplay itself is not horror. It's not dark. You're just walking around picking up cubes and putting them on your board. So it's there wasn't the dark theme didn't come through in a dark way that made me like scared or kind of putting me off,
or like stuck with you in a bad way.
Right, there's gore or anything. I mean, there is like cadavers on some of the tiles, and there's like some blood smears and stuff like that. But it was almost not cartoony is the wrong word, but like. It wasn't graphic. It wasn't graphic. This is not a game that we'd play with like our 3-year-old or our 7-year-old. But even if we did, I don't think that it would even affect them really.
Yeah.
But it'd just make us not great parents, perhaps.
Perhaps a little bit.
Yeah. So dark theme, but really it's not a dark gameplay. You're not going to walk away like oh my gosh, it's the gameplay is a lot lighter than it seems.
So it seems to me, you said seems, and then I said seems, it just like was in my head. It seems to me that true crime and like murder podcasts, just in general, and shows are like really big right now. And that might just be because I work with a lot of people who are really obsessed with them. Now, I think that if you have somebody in your life who's a huge true crime fan and they just like murder mysteries in general, like true life crime, this is the game to play with them to get them in the hobby. I am totally serious. Because the gameplay is so seamless, but also that theme is there, especially with the tiles and the abilities and trying to get away from home so you're moving to the different rooms. I really think that this is the game for that. The game to get those people to realize that they love gaming. Do it with this game.
And really, like, that's almost a gateway level of gameplay, right? Yeah. But if you want even a little bit more, this particular edition, our edition comes with like a extra expansion, the second story expansion, and in there it adds extra players. Normally it's 2 to 6. This has a solo mode for one thing. There's like an Automa character that you can play by yourself, and then also there's up to 7 players now, where one person is Holmes himself, running around trying to mess with things. There's extra tiles in the expansion, so there's even more to
fake
explore.
Evidence.
Yeah, there's fake evidence that he drops.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some pretty interesting stuff in the second story expansion as well. So if you're looking for even more besides just the smooth gameplay, you want a little extra, it's got that too. So really, this is going to be compared to a game like, let's say, Betrayal in the House of the Hill, because there's there's tiles that it's a horror game, right? It's just right out of the gate.
Horror game with tiles, the same thing.
It's the same thing. It's not though.
No.
I think that for one thing, there's the haunts that happen. It starts as a cooperative game, and then it kind of turns into like a traitor mechanism kind of a game.
Yeah.
And then also it's much much darker of a theme. There's the true horror elements in Betrayal, and the Betrayal is also wildly known for imbalance, right? Sometimes
I was going to say, this game is actually balanced.
Yeah, Betrayal is, some of the haunts that come up are going to be wildly imbalanced, either for the traitor or against the traitor. This is just a race game, essentially. It's a race. You're trying to collect evidence and get back to that starting tile, the pharmacy. all with this kind of interesting theme. So yes, there's tiles, and yes, there's moving around with those tiles, but the action selection, the event cards, there's a lot of extra things going on here. It's a smoother experience. You're not relying on the dice rolls and chaos. This is much more plannable. So I know they'll be compared, and there is that one similarity, but overall, this is, to me, a much more satisfying game.
Yeah, I would play this game. I don't ever want to play Betrayal ever again. Anyway.
You know what I would want to do? I want to play World's Fair 1893.
And then
Immediately after play this and make a game night out of it. And have everybody like dressed up in like
so
Victorian era like top hats and stuff.
Like all excited reading the text and all the true stuff.
Right.
And then reading the text and reading all the true stuff. Yeah, that'd be I
think that would be a fun game night.
If
you tried that, let us know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget you can find us on all the places. On Facebook, we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews. On Twitter, we are Ryan and Bethany 1. And on Instagram, we are Ryan and Bethany.
Everybody, thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.
Bye.